Welcome to Legacy, a journey to address pivotal topics of today, but also the enduring legacies we aspire to leave behind for future generations. Together, let's inspire and be inspired.
Today we have the honor of hosting Manuel Castañeda on Legacy, from a humble beginning in a remote Mexican village to the founder of PLI Systems to political candidate. Manuel's journey is one of that touches us as we can relate to his journey. Let's dive into Manuel's inspiring story and insight on creating a lasting legacy. I am Veronica Vasquez and my co-host George Carrillo. George, how are you? ¿Cómo estás?
I'm good, thank you. You know, I'm so happy to have Manuel here with us today. I think this is going to be a really great conversation. Manuel, thank you again for being here and taking the time out of your busy schedule to be with us here today.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here, Veronica and George. I hope we have a great time today.
Yep, we are, definitely. So I want to start off by asking you a question here. And what I found really fascinating about your story when I learned about you is your upbringing in Mexico. So tell me, what was that like? It sounds like you had a pretty large family. And from what I understand, I think there was 12 people in a house?
Yeah, 12 kids and mom and dad. So, you know, a big family, 2-bedroom home. So
Tiny.
That means mom and dad get 1 bedroom, the girls get another bedroom, 2 girls, and the other 10 guys have to fight it out wherever they can fit. Yeah, and it's not uncommon for a lot of Latino or Mexican families to have large families like that. Maybe not as large, but I actually have someone working there with us he has 20 siblings.
Wow.
That makes us look like it. Yes. Literally, I think the idea back in the day in those villages is that more kids means more hands to do labor.
Yes.
You know? People here, when I tell them, oh, there was 12 of us, oh, your poor father, your poor mother, you know, how could they take care of all these kids? And I go, well, it wasn't that the way you think. They were not behind us clapping and soccer games or something. No, as soon as you were old enough, they just painted us green like a John Deere tractor and then put us to work. Each one of us had a job to do.
So, you know, I got a question here to ask you, because with a family that big and a space that small, who was the leader of, you know, the pack? Like, who got to decide who gets to use the bathroom in the morning first, second, third? Like, who was that person that actually ultimately managed that? Because I in my household, so there was 6 of us, you know, my 2 parents and, you know, 4 of us siblings. But there was always a leader in the house because, you know, our house was small and there was always fights in the morning of who was going to get the first shower, the hot shower, and things like that. What did that look like? Because your situation was double the size of my situation.
So down in the village, it was different than here, because in the village, you know, we didn't have to fight about the bathroom because we didn't have one. We had to run out to the woods, yeah. or the shower. We had to go to the nearest creek and bathe in the creek, you know. But here, yeah, it became more complicated because, like, we had here in Cornelius, we had 3 bedrooms, and mom and dad had one, sisters had another one, and then there was 1 bedroom, but usually the oldest that was still living at home, that wasn't married yet, you know, would get the bed, and everybody else would get the floor, you know. It did complicate things a little bit, but, you know, you always work things out. We didn't see it as a problem. For example, we always knew, hey, we're gonna go and buy socks or shirts. So we had to pitch in and all buy, because we knew that your socks were not going to be your socks. They were going to be everybody's socks. And your shirt probably. So we common. Just pitch in and buy, and whatever was washed, you know, you get from there. So you learn not to be picky, you know, and share.
Wow, that's awesome. You know, one of the things, like, being Latino, especially here in America, it's a very different experience for people that were born and raised in other parts of Latin America. Like, for me, I was fortunate where I was born here in the United States. My sister wasn't. She was actually born down in Ecuador. So my experience and her experience growing up was different. And my parents' journey, of course, was different. I can't relate to how they came from there to here. You know, Veronica, I know, just like my wife, had very similar experience of what, you know, that crossing of coming from Latin America to the United States. You know, what did that?
Yeah, it was not easy, especially you don't know what's happening. You just know that your parents are moving from one city to another, to LA, I remember. But I didn't know what's happening. I just know that my mom grabbed us from her hand and said, it's time to go, and it's time to go.
The experience is very different if you're very young. You know, like I had some brothers that came in very young, like Jorge, you know, and Marcelo. So they came here to first or second grade. It's a very different, like I came in at 14, so it's kind of the middle where you can remember a lot of stuff from behind, but you can also have the opportunity to learn new things in here. And the ones that came in older than me already in their, you know, teens or, I mean, like 20s or something, then they struggle a lot more because their heart's always there, you know, and they always, there's just too much for them to completely discard. But I think we can all, you know, find our own way. When people ask about your experience in the U.S., for example, the experience in the U.S. for every Latino is kind of different, you know, depends on, are you working in a kitchen someplace? Are you running a business like I am? Or are you in government or politics? There's just different experiences.
Yeah. How is for you, or how do you remember, like when you came to U.S., meaning like crossing the border? Was that stressful? Was that something that you knew about it? It was just something that you regret?
When I left, I had no idea which way was north, south. I could have ended up in Guatemala, and I thought that was the U.S. So I had never seen someone different than the people around me. Like, for the first time in my life, I saw a black person, an African-American person in LA, you know? And I'm staring and looking at these two kids, and I'm thinking, how does mom know which one is which, you know? But,
yeah, makes sense.
You know, after a while, you go like, oh yeah, you can tell the difference very well, you know? It's just, I had never seen an Asian person or anyone like that because you're isolated, you know? So we were very isolated. I had never used a phone before or used electricity, and I was 14 years old. So it becomes a challenge, but it was exciting. I was in Tijuana seeing all these lights and these cars going by, and I would just stay up at night counting cars because, you know, when 5 cars passed during a day near our village, it was a lot. And I'm going like, this is incredible. And I'm thinking, how do I tell my friends that I left behind what I'm seeing here? It was definitely an experience. And of course, like many other immigrants that have made it here, thank God, hopefully they took the opportunity and done something good with it, because so many people have really done well by immigrating here. Some have wasted that opportunity, unfortunately. But I remember being on a bus, getting out of the bus there outside Tijuana, and somebody comes out with a gun and a chain, and they took us to a ditch to rob everyone that was there. So I managed to escape with somebody else there in the dark through some bushes, but we survived that night there. But it was not easy, you know. So I would think that people that made it here, what I would say to them is, take every opportunity, because not everyone has this opportunity that we have here. As much as we complain about things, it is still the #1 country in the world to make money. So you really, if you're not making money here, you probably don't want to go anyplace else. There's something that you got to be working on. There are a lot of things that the U.S. used to be number one that has fallen to number 6, number 10, number 20 now, but still the number one country in the world to make money. And I mean, let's face it, the majority of us came in here for economic reasons because we wanted to improve ourselves.
I love what you said. You know, I think one of the unspoken truths about the Latino community is we are proud to be Americans. We are proud to be known as hardworking, that we have fought through a lot of disparity to make it in this country. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. And even for people that are undocumented status, they're proud to be here. They want to be here. They want to stay here.
Absolutely. And let me just interrupt that. I know personally quite a few that even undocumented, they're millionaires, U.S. millionaires, because they have that drive and they get up early, they work when it's needed. It doesn't matter if it's weekends or a holiday, but they're driven and they want something better. They're tired of being broke, you know?
Yeah.
And they say, I'm not gonna be broke the rest of my life. I'm gonna do something. And I look at them and I'm so proud of them because they have done a lot with limited resources, you know, very limited resources. So I think we should be proud, all of us that have made it here or that were born here, because, you know, they have that opportunity. So let's make it better for everyone.
I find it very fascinating, your story, and as we're laughing here, it makes me think of a lot of different things. You know, you came over to this country 14 from a very different life, and all of a sudden you're here now and you're adapting to all of this change. What was the dream? Like, what did you think about? Like, what is it that now with this new opportunity, when you were a kid, what did that look like for you? What did you say, I want to do this? Now that I see the world, right? You didn't even have electricity back then. Now all of a sudden you do. So what was the goal? What was the dream? What did that look like for you?
I was really staying up at night thinking about all the possibilities, because I show up, my sister Martha is here before me up in Pasco, Washington, and the first thing she tells me is, oh, this weekend I'm gonna teach you how to cross the street. And I go like, I can cross the street, I don't need help with that. He says, no, you don't know how to cross it. I says, oh yes, I can look left and right and run and cross. He says, no, there are lights and colors, and you have to know the light. He says, oh really? Right? Oh my God, the meaning of the colors. So the next weekend here, I was learning about what red meant and green and yellow. You know, and I'm 14 years old. Now I'm in middle school, and you can imagine that it's not an easy thing, but I kept seeing all these wonderful things. I go, oh my God, the streets are smooth, you know, everything's in line.
No batches, how do you say, no holes in it.
It's just incredible. So here in Forest Grove High School, I was there at high school, and I would go to the library a lot because I would read books like National Geographic and science magazines, and I would see big buildings and bridges and stuff, nothing that I had ever seen before. And I was wondering, how did they build that? Airplanes, and I would tear those pages out of the magazine for subscriptions and send them back. And also there was usually a page for credit card applications. So I would also fill this out in case somebody would make a mistake and send me one. Sure enough, somebody did. First State Bank sends me a MasterCard with $800 credit limit. And no one in my family has a credit card. So now I'm a credit card holder. I'm in high school, and I'm co-signing for my mom and dad to buy a washer or a dryer. And I used that credit card to buy a lawnmower and start a business.
Wow.
And that's how the business got started.
At what age do you start your business?
So it was, I started actually 20 years old, but I used that same credit cards with an $800 credit limit. The Expo Center had a home and garden show there, and I went and had a little 10 by 10 booth there, asking people to write their name if they wanted help. This old man's walking by, and Tony Wright, he was a geotechnical engineer, but I had no clue. So I noticed he was tired, and so I offered him a chair to rest, and I started striking a conversation. He was a British engineer and told me that I asked him what he did. He told me his story, and I said, wow, that sounds interesting. I said, so why don't you do what you say you want to do? He says, well, I'm looking for a company that knows how to install pin piles. And of course, I don't know what that is at the time. and I said, oh, really? So I says, you know, you're a very, very lucky man. And he says, why is that? I said, you found the person that's going to do that for you. He says, wow, you know how to install pin piles? I said, I have no clue. You just told me about it. But I'll be there Saturdays and Sundays at your house. Write down your name and address, and I'll be there. And you're going to teach me, and we're going to do it together. And he did. And that was very good for what I'm doing today, because he took the time, and I showed up there. People want to help out. They'll help you out if they see that you're motivated and that you're hungry, that you want to. So he took the time, and his wife was not very happy because I was taking his weekends away. But I could see that, and then I brought one of my helpers and gave it to Helen, the wife, and says, Helen, this is Tony now. You take him to the garden, and he can weed for you while Tony is teaching me. And so it's important that also when you ask people for help, that they don't think that it's just a one-way street, you know, that you somehow reciprocate and make it, and at least at a minimum, you have to show gratefulness for everything that somebody else is doing for you, because people's time are valuable, and if they feel like it's not appreciated, or that you're just doing it for you, you know, that you have no interest in them, then it doesn't work. But yeah, that was really the turning point. Tony's idea that he needed someone, he didn't have someone, and I needed Tony, and so we both married it.
So that was a defining moment in your life. I mean,
Yes.
that totally changed a lot of opportunities for you.
From a total stranger.
Yeah, from a total stranger.
But you have to reach out to people. You can't just, like, if you see someone, you don't know who's going to help you. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
You see someone tired that needing help him out, because he's going to help you later. You know?
Right, but it sounds like you didn't do it because you knew Tony and you were looking for that opportunity. Your kindness opened up that opportunity.
Yes. And I wish I could say that, oh my goodness, I'm this bright individual that I thought about all this, and here I had this wonderful plan. No, nothing like that. Most people actually that are successful ended up there that way, almost by accident. But you kind of have to help things evolve, you know? If we're just sitting around here, we're not going to stumble into anything. Yeah. We need to stumble into things by
Running
doing
around.
things and being active.
Yeah.
You know?
So when that happened, for the people that are watching and listening, what is PLI Systems? Like, really brief layman terms, what is it that your company, from mowing grasses to what the heck is PLI?
So PLI Systems is actually, I'm even amazed at what we've been able to do, you know. I seriously am, because we come from nothing, and then here, PLI Systems is it's the go-to company in the state of Oregon and Southwest Washington and in some other areas around. We're in 5 states now. to do extremely complicated projects, geotechnical projects, or projects that deal with deep foundations and challenging sites. Like, let's say somebody's trying to build a bridge in the Olympic National Forest, which we did, there. And you have to go hundreds of feet across one canyon from another. But there's no roads, and they don't want to build roads because this is a national park, Who do they find? They find us.
What I'm learning about you is that I think part of your legacy is the fact that you are always willing to open yourself and be vulnerable to opportunity. What is it that you want to leave?
Yeah, I have seen other business owners that are friends of mine that sometimes they'll come in and actually donate large amounts of money for some fancy building or something to have their name on or whatever that gets a lot of publicity, but yet their employees are making minimum wage, and that is not me. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make sure that they get taken care of first, and then I'll go someplace else here, So that's basically what I want. I want to make sure that the people that took care of me when I needed more help, which is a lot of people, I just said mom and dad, but it's a lot, including siblings. When I was studying, they were there, So I want to make sure that all these people, that they don't feel let down by me, And the same with employees, but all those others that surrounded me.
What would you tell those kids that are looking at us right now to accomplish their dreams, to follow their dream?
I would say don't follow the crowd. If everybody's going in that direction, go in a different direction, because that path is too crowded already. Go try something new. And for whatever reason, I have seen that people are taking opportunities or jobs, and they don't understand that in order for you to be successful, you have to have a high interest in whatever you're going to do. Just have passion for whatever you're doing. And never be close-minded with anything, because most of the stuff we think we know, later on we find out it really wasn't that way. We find out that we were wrong. So just be open-minded at all times. Even if you disagree, listen to people. You don't have to go along, but listen to them. You'll learn something.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for your advice and your kind words.
Guest on legacy means a lot to us. And, we are just so not just ecstatic and happy that you're here with us here today, but to learn so much about you and everything that you have done, because you're making a difference in this world, and that's what legacy is all about.